people don't think that they walk by an apartment building like, you know what, those are just for the real wealthy people, and that's for people that have money, right? Big time money. Where you get in, you start listening to these podcasts, and you start learning about syndication. It's like, and scaling is like, man, I can do this. Like, it
That's right.
really instills that confidence. Like, I can do this too. If he can do it, I know I can do it. My friends, who are my best friends to this day, pushed me every day. And it wasn't exactly pushing me like, no, George, you got to get better. You got to be better. No, they were trying to get better, and I was trying to get even better than they were. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was that friendly competition, but we were trying to beat each other, and that really brought out the best in ourselves.
Bo, how much were you trying to lift?
Where
No,
old man had to tell you, hey man,
Yeah.
you better take it easy.
I only had, it was like 400 pounds on the, like 400 on the leg press.
And I waited outside.
Oh,
And I waited outside for him because was going to be my first time that I've ever met him, my idol growing up. And even people that worked for the Dolphins, they were like, oh yeah, you're with the Jaguars, right? And I said, yeah. Oh, well, your guys' buses are over there on the other side. I said, oh yeah, I know. I'm just I'm just waiting here.
Welcome to the Bo and Luke Show, a podcast designed to inspire you to be better, know better, and do better. You can connect with Bo and Luke on social media at The Bo and Luke Show, or send us an email at fanfeedback@theboandlukeshow.com. Brought to you by Sound United. Without further ado, let's get after it.
Bo and Luke Nation, we are back with an amazing episode. We have an amazing guest in the studio, Jorge Cordova. Jorge is former NFL alumni. He's an entrepreneur, philanthropist. He's a real estate investor, and he works full-time. He's got a family. I'm not going to say too much more because we have him right here with us. You can see him. Jorge, tell us all about yourself.
Bo and Luke, thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. I listen to you guys, and I expressed earlier that, Bo, I think you guys got something going. You guys seem to flow very, very well when you guys are talking with each other, and it just comes natural. So praise you guys on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So 5 years in the NFL. I actually early childhood. I'm actually first generation here in America. My parents are from Mexico, grandparents are from Mexico, and literally well, I'm in San Diego, California. I'm a little north now, but where I grew up at, you could throw a rock and you hit Mexico. So
Yeah.
I mean, I was right there. And moved early in my childhood. I was actually I wasn't really, I sat down and watched football, watched sports with my dad, but I was a little intimidated to go into organized sports. Like, I played in the street every day. And by the way, playing in the streets, it's just like, it's a lost, you don't see kids doing it anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Everybody's inside on video games. I mean, I never played video games. I was always in the street from when I got out of school until it got dark. It's time for dinner time, right? So I think that's a little bit of that old school mentality, man. Now, geez. But anyway, so always all involved in sports that way. However, it was a little intimidating with the organized sports, and I had a stepdad, and my stepdad actually, he actually paid me to play. So he wanted me to play football, and I wanted to play football too. But so he kind of he told me, hey, you get a tackle, every tackle you get, I'll give you $1. Well, he stopped paying me after a while, but I was getting too many tackles out there. But I mean, that's what got me going. Getting into high school, I was the first to being in California, Southern California. I was in San Diego. It was always kind of expensive living down here. My parents, at an early age, my parents they split. So my stepdad came into the picture. He moved us up north. It's just maybe 30 minutes outside of San Diego. And when I first got there, it's called Murrieta, California. When I first got there, there was about 20,000 people that lived there. And my parents, this is unreal now, but they bought a house up there. It was a 5-bedroom home.
Wow.
brand new community, $119,000. Like, it's
Wow.
unbelievable thinking about that now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So attended high school there. I moved up there for high school. Attended high school. I was the first Division 1, or the first player to earn a scholarship coming out of there.
Hmm.
I got a scholarship to the University of Nevada. And I tell you what, I chose Nevada, and that's what I got on my shirt, right? I'm always, this is, my college is in my heart, you know, my alumni is in my heart. But uh, I didn't, we didn't have that sports background, you know, like I never knew anybody that went to college, never knew anybody who played college sports. Um, so I really, you know, I didn't know too much. I mean, I had schools like Fresno, UCLA, Colorado State, Colorado, that were recruiting me, but I literally, like, I just took my host. He was still a friend to this day, and he made me
Mhm.
feel the most comfortable.
Wow.
And that's the direction I went. It didn't matter to me what conference the school was in. It's just like, okay, well, I like this guy, and I like this area, and you know, I'm gonna go here.
Mhm.
Ended up being the best decision of my life. Uh, 5 years of hard work. I redshirted my freshman year. 5 years of hard work and dedication, and I ended up getting drafted in the third round to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and it was a dream come true. Geez, I still remember the day like it
Yeah,
was yesterday. You
I
know,
bet.
yeah. Jack Del Rio gave me a call, and what a funny story about that is, so I had my cell phone. When I was going through the process, you know, the combine, draft. I mean, I'm sorry, pro day at my school. I gave all the scouts my cell phone number, you know, because
Mhm.
I didn't know exactly where I was going to be, if I was going to be at home or at a family member's house. And so I told, you know, so I ended up deciding, okay, I'm going to go home. I'll be at home for the draft. And I told my mom, I said, okay, you want to have a party. Before, it was you get drafted on the first day. It was rounds one through first round through third round on Saturday.
Mhm.
Everything else was on Sunday. So I told my mom, I said, hey, okay, I don't know, we don't know when I'm going to be drafted. Obviously, my goal was set to be in the third round or higher.
Mhm.
um and I told her, I said, you know what, I don't, please do not throw me a party. If we're going to throw a party, let's do it on Sunday, because you see those, you know, those times where
Yeah.
guys don't get drafted that first day, and everybody's in the room. It's like, oh my god, like, how do you, you know,
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
tough.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
The
that's a horrible
worst.
feeling. So I gave all the scouts my cell phone number, right? And I'm sitting there. I get up early in the morning, start the draft on, you know, right away. And then I'm sitting on my couch, and everybody shows up to my house. All my family shows up to my house. Everybody's there. It's a packed house, and I'm just like, oh geez. Obviously, welcoming
Yeah.
everybody when they come in, but I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I'm sitting on my couch, and you know, round one goes by. Okay, you know, round two goes by, and still nothing, you know. And Seattle had the next pick, early third round, I believe it was, and my cell phone goes off, and it's a Seattle number.
Huh.
And so I pick up, and it's a coach from high school that called me, moved up there for some reason, called me and said, hey, have you got drafted yet? I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh my gosh, man. No, I haven't gotten drafted. And I had to call him back later on and apologize, but I hung up because I got so ticked off for a second, you know?
You
Yeah.
were like, dude, watch the draft.
Exactly, right. You know, call and ask me if I got drafted. Well, so you know, so I gave everybody my cell phone, right? And I'm sitting there, and it's the third round that comes along, and I'm sitting there, and you know, nothing, no calls, not even my agent, nothing.
Hmm.
And you know, Jacksonville, Miami had the pick. No, I'm sorry. You know, I can't remember who had the pick before Jacksonville, but so the house phone is ringing. You know, house phone is ringing. I'm sweating it. I'm like, geez, man, it's getting mid to late third round. I'm, you know, tripping out. Like, okay, like nobody's calling me. I'm sitting on the couch, and I got an indent in the couch because I haven't gotten up in
Yeah.
in the last two rounds, right? And so my house phone is ringing, and nobody's answering it, because I don't care about that. I'm watching my cell phone. My friend's mom, she was visiting. Obviously, she came in for the draft and all that, and she answers the phone, and she goes, "Oh yeah, he's right here." And she goes, "George, Jack Del Rio's on the phone." And I was like, "Oh crap, okay." And I grabbed the house phone. Well, I mean, I wasn't expecting anybody to call me from there, and it was so surreal, like watching Jack, play
Yeah.
football in the early years, and I remember from the Vikings, and and talking to me on the other line, and he asked, Jorge, Jack Del Rio, how would you like to be a Jaguar? And you know what? I didn't care. It was across the United States. It didn't
It
matter
didn't
to me.
matter.
It didn't matter. It was like a dream coming true for me. And I was just
Yeah.
like, yes, yes. And he was like, okay, we're gonna pick you. We're gonna pick you with the next pick coming up. And it was just amazing seeing. I think it was um, is it Scott? No, Berman. What's Berman's first name? Uh,
Chris?
Chris Berman. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And he announced it. Well, he said Jorge Cordova. You know what I mean? Like Jack, the Jack. Everybody had fun with that because I was only one of the. There was not too many Latino players that were playing at the time. And it was like maybe a handful of us, maybe. So he had a little bit of fun with it, and obviously, I mean, the whole house just jumped up, and I was so happy not only to get drafted, but to also not be embarrassed. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
we celebrated very good that night, and it was literally like it was off to the races. Like I was gone to Jacksonville the next, few days.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a little bit. I'm sorry, I kind of took the intro and
That's
just
okay.
like ran with it a little bit.
No, it's good intro.
No, I think that's great.
Yeah.
That's one of those lifetime, it's once in a lifetime experience, right?
Most definitely.
It'll
Most
stick
definitely.
with you forever.
Yes. Oh yeah, man. It's imprinted in my brain, and obviously, we got pictures to show for it. But I mean, it's just you can't describe that feeling. You can't relive that feeling again.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So you get to Jacksonville, how much
Yeah.
faster and better are the players in the NFL than they are in college? Because when we're sitting at home, the college players are pretty darn good,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I can't imagine how much faster and better.
Okay, so I played in the WAC conference, and we were very competitive. Actually, when my senior year, we played against Washington, and we were the first team in a while to beat a Pac-12 school.
Sure.
And actually, I have that poster behind me. But I got I was the Bronco Nagurski national defensive player of the week that week. I really stepped up that game when I went to Washington, and we played in Husky Stadium. I got 5 sacks, like 2 tackles for a loss, like 16 tackles, a blocked field goal, and
the monster game.
What? Oh yeah, like it really, like I really put myself on the map. But I mean, that's what, being from smaller schools, you go into those bigger schools and you want to showcase yourself and show yourself what you're all about. So anyway, but what I was getting to is you play, it was like in the NFL, it's like getting all the best players in your conference and then putting them on one team. You have when I played in Jacksonville, I had Marcus Stroud. I don't know if you remember Marcus Stroud. Is a Pro Bowler defensive lineman. John Henderson, Pro Bowler defensive lineman, and those were my 2 tackles. And these guys are 300, 350 pounds, and they're running like college linebacker. You know what I mean? Yep. So it was just the speed. It was just, that was, and I'm sure you guys hear it often, is that's what you got to get adjusted to the most. Is everybody has talent, but it's getting adjusted to that next level of quickness and reaction.
Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah,
that's what everyone says. The timing, the quickness, that was the big difference.
That's what it's all about. And it's a whole nother level of preparation. You know what I mean? Like in college, obviously you have film study, but it's on a whole nother level in the NFL. And now they're fortunate enough to get like iPads and stuff like that. And really the technology has risen to another level, because it's, I mean, it's a business, right? You know, they're going to
Yep.
do everything they can to prepare their players. And it's just nice having at your fingertips, you know, being able to download video in an instant, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a whole nother level. It's a whole nother level.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
is.
Mhm.
How that makes me want to ask the question, and I apologize if we're jumping forward in the story, but
No.
you know, for someone like yourself, and you make it to that level of professional athlete, elite athlete, and you're around that, and you had 5 seasons, right? Was it
Yeah.
5 seasons total?
Yep.
So that's a considerable, you know, amount of time to be performing at that level.
Yeah.
How did that impact you transitioning out of the NFL and into, we'll just say, corporate America or whatever came next for you?
Yeah.
And you know, because you know, I'm picturing, you know, when you get out into the, we'll say, the real world, right? When now
Yeah.
it's
Yes. Yeah.
you know, all kinds of people, and not everybody, when you get into a job or in a workplace, performs at, even in their job, performs at an
Yes.
elite level, right?
Yes. Yes.
Was that
Yes.
frustrating? I mean, how did you deal with that?
The most frustrating part is that if somebody ticked me off, I couldn't tackle them or I couldn't put a hit on them. You know,
That's
sometimes
funny.
you got some coworkers, or you have people in the
Yeah.
professional world that you just want to just kind of
Yeah.
lay out, and that's something that you have to get adjusted to, because you know, football is like really a truly barbaric sport. I mean, we're like
Yeah.
modern day gladiators, and we're out
Yeah.
there baying each other, and the all you're thinking about is physicality, and you know, there's a mental aspect of the game, but you know, it's a lot has to do with you know, being physical.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, I'm joking about that, but obviously, you know, there is a little bit of truth to it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like sometimes if somebody isn't pulling their weight, you really
Yeah.
want to tell them like, hey, you know, I'm not gonna cuss, but it's like, you know, get your effing crap together. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
you're used to performing at a whole nother level, whereas and perform, like you said, Bo, like you're performing all the time. Like you have to stay on top of your game, or else somebody behind you is gonna take your job, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas in the professional level, like especially like, you know, as some jobs, you know, are very secure. You know, you have job security out of a lot of these jobs, and you can do the bare minimum, and you know, I'm not going to get paid any more than the guy next
Yeah.
to me. I'm excelling, but he's doing the bare minimum.
Yeah.
What's going to entice me to continue to perform every day? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
For sure.
And that can get very frustrating. But you know, being an athlete, you don't know anything else. I mean, look at you guys are obviously performing at a whole at a high level too. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you're taking your podcast and you're raising it up, and you're trying to get better every day. Not
Yep.
everybody has that mentality, you know, and so that can be really frustrating, you know,
Sure.
at times, because you partner up with somebody, or you grew up you're tasked an assignment with somebody at your work, and you're performing at this level, but they're performing down here, and it's like, come on, man, get your crap together. We got to get
Yeah.
this done, you know?
That's right.
So yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'll say it makes me think of one of my favorite Michael Jordan quotes from the Last Dance. Did you watch The Last Dance?
Yeah, I watched that.
It
Yeah.
was good, right? So first
Yeah.
first episode, somebody said like, "Oh well, a lot of people referred to you as a jerk," and he was like, he goes, "Look, I played at a high level, and I really wanted to win. So if that means that I had to get in your ass a little bit, then I did that."
Yep. Yep.
You know,
That's
And
right.
I think Bo does too. I surround myself. I seek out people that are going to do that to me. Because
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
yeah, because in that discomfort, that's where the growth happens, right?
Yes.
I don't want
Yes.
someone that's just going to lie to me and just let me
Yes.
either be stagnant or, you know, regress from where I'm at. I want someone that's going to check me a little bit. and
Yeah.
make me
Yeah.
better.
And you know what? That's leads me into something that I wanted to talk to you guys about a little bit, and you know, and I think it's something that everybody, especially your listeners, can learn from. Is okay. So like when I was in college, we had I surrounded myself obviously with competitors just like myself, you know, and those my friends, who are my best friends to this day, pushed me every day, push me every day. And it wasn't exactly pushing me like, no, George, you got to get better. You got to be better. No, they were trying to get better. And I was trying to get even, even better than they were. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was that friendly competition, but we were trying to beat each other, and that really brought out the best in ourselves. So like when I got into the NFL, I had that in college. When I got into the NFL, it is a whole nother level, but it's almost like, and you know what, it might have been just the atmosphere I was in, and it's not negative in any way, but you really got to take care of yourself. It's not up to anybody else that's gonna put that in there to drive you or anything, like it's really up to you. And I think that's where I think I could have been a lot better, and it would have extended my career even more, is if I got that either mentor or that person that wanted it just as much as I did all the time. Mainly a mentor, like to kind of show me the ropes and everything. But I think my real personality came out after football, because I'm really like a lively person and I like to interact with people and converse with people. But when I'm in uncomfortable or not normal situations, I guess when I was younger, I kind of like shut down a little bit, and I was like in my own like little world where I didn't feel comfortable reaching out to people and saying, hey, can you help me out with this? I don't understand this, or can you help me get better, or can I work out with you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I want to be just like you. Can I work out with you? I have no problem in doing that now. I mean, I regret not doing that before, because I had people around me that were big time people. I mean, I'll share a story about so Junior Seau, right?
Sure.
On my wall right here, I have Junior Seau, because obviously he was a San Diego Charger and Hall of Famer. That's somebody that I really looked up to when I was a little kid. And my rookie year, my first preseason game, I played against the Miami Dolphins. So it was the Jaguars versus we went down into Miami, and at the time Junior was playing for Miami. And man, I was starstruck, absolutely starstruck. And he, we were warming up, the linebackers were warming up next to them, and I wasn't even paying attention to our warm-ups. I was watching him the whole time, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And after the game, like I was the first one in the locker room. I was the first one in the showers. I got dressed, waited for Coach Del Rio to give his little speech, and luckily we won the game, so I can get in and out real quick. I ran to the Dolphins locker room and I waited outside. I waited outside for him, because this was going to be my first time that I've ever met him, my idol growing up. And even people that worked for the Dolphins, they were like, oh yeah, you're with the Jaguars, right? And I said, yeah. Oh, well, your guys' buses are over there on the other side. I said, oh yeah, I know. I'm just I'm just waiting here. They're like, okay. A couple of times people, hey, the buses are over there. Oh yeah, it's all right. So when he came out, oh man, it was just like he had like an orb around him, you know what I mean? Like in my eyes. And I just said, hey, Junior, my name is Jorge Cordova. I'm from San Diego. I grew up watching you, man. I needed to meet you. And, I shook his hand, and he's like, oh man, thanks, buddy. Like, he's like, well, let's hook up, when you're down in San Diego, let's hook up and we can work out and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh yeah. All right, great. But it was great that he offered that, but I never took him up on it. You know what I mean? Because I was, I guess, that shy guy or something. I don't know.
It's intimidating. Yeah.
But it was very intimidating too, like, I mean, this is my idol, but I mean, for him even offering that I think that was my chance to kind of, get that mentor that I needed to show me the ropes. You know what I mean? That could have extended my career another 5 years, let's say, but obviously all we can do is learn from it.
Right.
And that's my biggest thing now. So you had mentioned, when you're introducing me, I am in real estate. I started in real estate when I was actually playing. I bought my first house in Florida, rented that out. I bought a house down here in California, rented that out. And, I really wasn't doing things right. I was still kind of wrapped up in, I was playing football. I wasn't managing the property, which, I
Mhm.
just didn't know the actual business part of it. I just knew buy a property and rent it out.
Yeah.
Sure.
I didn't know the business aspect on it. And, and it was single family. I wasn't getting into the right field. Maybe if I did it right, I could have been successful at it, but it kind of just didn't work out. 2008 hit, and
Mm.
I really kind of went down from there. But not to get sidetracked too much, but like, so now I'm got myself back into the real estate game, and more into multifamily and apartment investing, and
Mhm.
I got myself a mentor. Like I got
Awesome.
myself a mentor and coach, and the biggest thing is my coach told me, he was just, in the way he put it gave me a whole nother perspective on it. Like, it made me compare it to football. Like,
Uh-huh.
he's like, he's on Jorge, in football, you have a coach. You have a coach that's guiding you. You
Yeah.
didn't, you're not going to learn the plays on your own. You're not going to learn the game on your own. You can learn a lot of it, but you're not going to learn. You have to learn from people's mistakes, and you have to get that advice from somebody, some guidance from somebody. I'll just look at it like that. You needed a coach and mentor, that was your mistake, but you learned from it. Now
Mhm.
you got me. The coach told me, now you got me. I'm going to guide you this way. I'm going to coach you. You're going to be successful. I'm going to make sure you're successful. And that really gave me a boost of confidence. Like, hey, I'm doing the right thing. I'm back where I belong, and investing, just getting into real estate, and I hope to be, successful at it.
Mhm.
And I hope that I'm on the right path. I have faith that I am. So
You will
Yeah.
be.
yeah. So
I think that's
uh,
awesome.
yeah.
The
So
great thing about mentors, what I love about having mentors and coaches, even if you are elite, whether it's you're an elite business person, you're an elite athlete, but you're truly at the pinnacle of your game. Um, you may have all the skills, but it's the intangibles too that mentors bring to the table, and
exactly, there
helping
you go.
hold you accountable. Um, that can really even just elevate you even more, and it gives you an opportunity to, if you're willing, to be vulnerable, to open up,
Mhm.
to accept the criticism, and
Mhm.
because that's just how you grow even more. So for all of our listeners, take what Jorge is saying about, find a mentor, even if it's a paid coach. If you find the right coach that's a good fit for you, man, it can just pay. The ROIs just can be huge.
Preach
um
it, Bo. Preach it,
yeah.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It was funny. I was in the gym working out yesterday, and I don't think this gentleman even realized how much I was really listening to what he had to say. And
Uh,
I was on the leg press machine, and he was 75 years old, and he was in there, and he was working his shoulders, and he just came over to me to say, "Hey, don't put too much weight on that machine, because you could really hurt yourself, right? Trust me, I hurt myself when I was younger." And then he just started talking about real estate, and the fact
wow.
that he has all these apartment buildings, and he goes, "That's where all the money's at, and I've made a ton of money." I mean,
Wow.
it's like this guy just wanted someone to talk to.
Yeah.
And I literally sat there. I stopped working out, and we talked literally for like 30 minutes. And he talked
Awesome.
all about real estate, and what you just said earlier made me think about him. And I was paying attention. I don't think he realized how much I was
Yeah.
actually listening. And he said, in all of this, he's like, "I don't care if you got a 12-unit building, a 20, whatever." He's like, "I was successful at this because I was organized. I was
Yeah.
Mm.
organized. I had a process. I know how to um, manage all of these assets and the rental units and so forth." He goes, "I didn't just get into it to just do it.
Hmm.
I was organized. I did background checks. I made sure people were employed, and
Yes.
I knew
Yes.
the law and how to evict people if it came to that." He goes, I learned it all, and I was organized." And I'm like, "Ooh, that's good." He doesn't even realize
Yeah.
how good the information he's given me is.
and
Um,
and you know what, and what you mentioned, being vulnerable
yeah.
and really listening, and having that experience to listen to somebody, because like,
Hmm.
being a kid, I was early 20s when I was doing this stuff, and it wasn't that I wasn't open to listening to somebody. It was just how to search that out. Like, how do I find somebody that can give me this information? And then when you do find them, being open to everything and take everything in. Just like, I mean, you're at the gym and you're getting this advice from a 75-year-old. I mean, that's
like I was, I think I've made it to that point where it's like, you're finding mature enough to say, okay, I need to listen, right? I can continue my workout later, right? That this gentleman needs to say something, and it sounds like knows what he's talking about. I should just talk to him, listen to him. And I left the gym. The first thing I got home was tell my wife all about this conversation I had with this gentleman. It was fantastic.
Bo, how much were you trying to lift?
Man, how to tell you, hey man, you better take it easy.
I only had, it was like 400 pounds on the, like 400 on the leg press. But it's the leg press. Bro. It's a little bit easier than squats, right? Because you're leaning back on the I don't know, the way the machine, and you're pressing the weight up on the sled like thing, I guess. Yeah. But
real quick question for you, Bo. So like, I mean, you work out, you're ex-military. Have you ever done one of those, like what do they call, like mud rudders, or like the military company? Okay, but you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. I have not. Okay. The mud rudder actually looks like it would be fun.
Yeah.
But I have not. But I've done, from the military perspective, the obstacle courses. Obstacle courses are fun to do.
He's jumped out of airplanes with live ammunition going on the ground in the middle of the night. Couldn't even see the ground he was landing on.
No way.
Yeah, that's an experience. You jettison, you have your big rucksack sitting in front of you, and it's hooked to a cord. And when you unhook that cord, it drops about 50 feet below you. So it's still connected to you. And then it's dark. So you listen for that rucksack to hit the ground.
Get out of here.
And then you're next.
No way.
What's the delay there? So you hear the rucksack. Okay, how much time do you got?
A second.
Oh my God.
But it's enough, to make sure that you're in the right, your body's physically in the right position, so you don't break a leg. And so
just like flex your muscles.
How are those legs the next day?
Oh, you're good. Because I mean, you spend so much time training on how to fall. That's all you got to learn, how to fall. It's all about how to hit the ground so you don't kill yourself.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But I love that. I love that discussion about the mentors. And I think it is so important. It doesn't really matter where you are in life. And we've talked about that even with others on the show. And I always say, if you think about the greats, if you're not an athlete, but you can probably think of a Muhammad Ali, Tiger Woods. I mean, who the greatest athletes that are in the news all the time that you see, they have coaches. They have no matter how great they are, they have coaches and mentors to keep them grounded, give them all the intangibles they're not seeing, keeps them at their top of their game.
All of them. Every top level CEO that I know,
there you go.
They all have mentors, no matter what their age is. They still go crazy about having mentors and coaches.
Yeah, and Luke, I listen to like all the podcasts. I'm obviously like all into the books and all that, and literally that's what I hear from everybody. Everybody is that they got a mentor. And they have a coach that still guides them, like you just said, like CEOs that are Fortune 500 companies. They have mentors, because you can say it, like literally, like I got ideas, and obviously, and I'm bouncing them in my head. They're just constantly going, and it's just easier. It's a lot easier, and it gives you a different perspective when you're actually talking to somebody about it, and somebody who actually knows the game. Like you're talking to them and spitting, stuff out at them. They're like, maybe this won't work, but hey, look at this, keep on going with this. It's just, it gives you confidence too. It's a confidence builder, and an athlete, your drive is confidence, and it doesn't change when you're in whatever, like you guys are in your podcast game, like I'm in the real estate, starting my real estate game. It's confidence is a big part of it. You have confidence in what you're doing, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Go ahead, Luke.
I'll say they'll all talk to you too. So in being in sales, I still got to call people all the
Yeah.
time.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
got to get meetings. What I tell the people is now I have dialers, right? So they dial the phone for me a lot. I still got to dial, but I keep telling them, I say, go after the C levels. And they're like, well, maybe it's easier to set with like a manager or something. I'm like, it's not, because here's the difference. You can be a manager and not care about the business at all.
Mm.
Excuse me. You don't get to be a C level without a very high level of caring, right? We call it like the give a shit factor. They give a
Okay.
shit about what they're doing on an everyday basis, and they're very sharp. So you get them on the phone, they're gonna care and listen to you. It's actually
Yeah.
easier to get a meeting, in my opinion, with somebody like that, because they're always sharp and always on their game, always improving.
Uh-huh.
Where, a manager that's just there just because it's a job, they're not going to meet with you or make a decision or
Yeah.
change anything. They don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not all of them. Not all of them,
Yeah.
but your odds are much better with a high performer. I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they care, like you said. They care.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And without that confidence, when you're at that level, I mean, how does someone like you, when like you're coming in and person who used to be your like idol, Junior
Mm-hmm.
Seau,
Yeah.
now all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden he's your competitor,
Yeah.
right?
Oh man. Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
didn't have that high level of confidence that, I got to play, I'm playing against them. I have to, now I want to beat them. I want
Yeah.
to take them out. I want to, that's your role. It'd
And
be
you know
hard.
what?
You couldn't do it if you didn't have the confidence to do it.
Yeah. And you know what? The confidence it doesn't actually, you can have that confidence and show that confidence on the outside, but
Uh-huh.
inside that confidence doesn't hit you until you're actually like in the game doing stuff that like you were successful at, like in college. Like I
Yeah.
knew that
Yeah.
I knew I was a smaller defensive end in college. I was a speed rusher, and I had that confidence, like, yeah, I can do this, and I'm here because I can do
Mhm.
this. But it wasn't until I beat that guy around the edge. I beat that starter, not the second team or third team guy, but
Right.
I beat that starter around the edge where I was like, okay, I can do this. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's what really got my confidence going, because if I mean, it's a whole nother. I had surgery.
Mhm.
I tore my ACL,
Oh,
Ooh.
wow.
and so I tore my ACL, and I was coming back, and confidence in itself, like you have to have confidence in your leg, and you have to have confidence that it healed, and you have to have confidence that you can do the same things that you were doing before surgery. And
Mm.
that was a whole nother battle in itself. But once you hit that edge, or once you do, you can feel like, oh, I'm back, I can do it. That brings that confidence back,
Yeah.
and that's a huge part of it. Huge
Oh,
part of it.
oh man. That applies so much. Man, life in
Mhm.
general.
Life
You
in
can
general.
you
There
can
you go.
apply that to so many things.
Yep.
I could talk about that all night. My
Yeah.
wife is in real estate as well,
Oh,
flips houses, and it was early 2020. Well, actually, it was late 2019. She picked up this house. Man, was it in, I mean, bad, bad,
mhm.
bad, bad, bad shape. Um, Horrific, and the kind of house you buy for $5,000. I mean,
Okay.
it was rough. But she had that
Four walls
ex
in a roof.
basically, and some of that had to be replaced. She had that confidence on the outside, right? She had done house flipping before, and
Okay.
she's coming off another project, but here's this one that's like really dilapidated, on the verge of being condemned and shut down. But so outside, she's like, I can do this. And I just remember, I remember telling her, we're standing in the backyard of this house before she bought it. And I was like, you know what? I said, if you do this house, right, this is going to put that confidence on the inside
There
that
you
you
go.
can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
In this
There you go.
business, you can do anything.
That's right.
And took her about 6 months for that house, but then she sold it in 2 hours.
Dang. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, top of
Yeah.
market for the market that we're in. And literally she's closing the third one since then. So I
That's
mean,
awesome.
yeah, it's huge, right? When you
Yes.
perform it, you have it on the outside, but then when you're doing it, and it
And
just, it's
for sure.
transformational.
And you just said you said it, like that's life. I gave you a scenario playing professional football, and you completely turned it into, your
Yeah.
wife with that confidence in her business, right? You know, so and you know, that's one thing is with this mentorship, it really instills that confidence in me, and it makes me believe. You know, really quick, so I started with single family real estate, right? And because I didn't think, you hear this on podcasts, you hear this in the books, you read this in the books, like people don't think that they walk by an apartment building like, you know what, those are just for the real wealthy people, and you know, that's for people that have money, right? Big time money. Where you get in, you start listening to these podcasts, and you start learning about syndication. It's like, and scaling is like, man, I can do this. Like
That's
it
right.
really instills that confidence. Like I can do this too. If he can do it, I know I can do it. You know,
Yeah.
so it's great. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Can
So
you imagine having Jorge as your landlord? Like, you better pay your rent on time.
Yeah.
You'd be like, wait, I got to drop off the rent check now. You don't understand.
What, you remember the commercials? I haven't seen one in a while. Was it I think it was Terry Tate. He was tackling people in the office spaces. Like you just watch the commercial, and he's linebacker, and he'd tackle the person right in the office, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Productivity went through the roof. Yeah.
Yeah, you better you better pay your rent, or you might just get the tackle of a lifetime.
That's right.
I know, man. I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Super cool. Yeah. So yeah, Jorge, thank you, man. I mean, this has just been amazing conversation.
Yeah.
Kind of conversation that could just go on forever.
For sure. You know, it was just like, you know, like being on the podcast, and I mean, it's just normal conversation I would have with you in the gym. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With the 75-year-old guy next to us.
Yeah. Everybody taking a piece of what you can, and you learn from it. You never know. You just, if you have an open mind, and just kind of key off of what people are saying, you just never know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
And what they have to give you.
And I'm sure, obviously, I mean, just talking to you guys here, you guys are real, you make people feel comfortable. Like, I mean, that's why I'm just blabbing away, because I feel you guys made me feel comfortable, you know, and I really think that, I think that's probably I hope, you know, is one of my strengths, is being able to spark conversation with anybody. You know, what helps is that icebreaker of, I played professional football. That's always beneficial, right?
Sure.
You know, like that's always an icebreaker. But you know what? To tell you the truth, I was always real reserved with that, because I didn't want to be judged on, you know, you're just a football player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they don't know that I got my degree, I got my master's. Like, they don't know I'm an educated person behind football. I didn't. And you know what? I tell you what, after football made me really realize that that's not, I'm a football player, but that's not my identity. You know what I mean? And so I wanted to try to strive and be as successful as I could, as Jorge Cordova, not Jorge Cordova, the football player.
Right.
But you know what? Being in this game, my coach really helped me embrace that. You know, don't shy away. Yes, you're a football player. You earned that. You worked your ass off your whole life to not just be on a football team, but actually get drafted. You know, we're such a small percentage of people that can do that. And you know, so embrace that. That's going to be an icebreaker for whoever it is that you speak to. You know, and you know, it's just an icebreaker. As soon as somebody knows that, I think it opens up the doors for them, you know, opens them up a little bit, and you start to get to know each other as people. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I think that for me, I don't want to speak for Luke, but I'm sure for him as well. What I think is one of the most valuable things that we are able to share with our listeners when we bring people like you on is that you break that. If anybody's thinking that, like, oh, he's just a football player, like getting into your story, and anybody, you know, it's sharing the story of this is an elite profession, right? That, yes, there's a skill there, but man, what it takes somebody to make it to the top, to the literal top of the game. So whether it's football, it's business, it's real estate, it's swimming, whatever, there's a certain character that you have or that you developed, obviously at a young age, that most people don't, that got you to that point. There's obviously so much more about you as an individual than just playing football.
Yep.
And I think that's what I love, getting out there more and more, as much as we can, to our audience, because I just think it's the lessons, the life lessons that you have, that you've been through to help anybody that's striving for success in their own life, is huge. I think it's huge. I'll give you an example. I was just kind of blown away. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had our episode air with a young man, Jalen Young. He's about to graduate from college, and he was a wrestler in Alabama, in Huntsville.
Okay.
And
that was a good one.
It was him and his coach. They had an Amazon documentary made about their time when he was in high school. Super poor area. He grew up really poor, but this kid just started wrestling as a sophomore in high school, and by his senior year, he was the state champion.
Oh man.
So it wasn't that story, Jorge, to me, and for people listening, it's not about him wrestling. It's about the challenges this young man was facing at 15, 16, 17 years old, and to make it and to perform and have the drive that once he got a hold of that, and then he had his coach, right, who pushed him and did just, amazing mentorship for him. And then, I mean, not just that you made the wrestling team. I mean, the kid made it he won the state championship in his senior year.
Yeah.
Now it's amazing. Now he's graduating college, did it in 4 years with a bachelor's degree in accounting. He's got a job lined up. I mean, he's an accountant. He's an accountant. And I mean, this kid, I just love it, So thank you. But I have one question before I let you go, because I don't think I've asked any of our guests this question, but when you're in the NFL and you're on a team, right? I'm sure you built camaraderie with your teammates.
Yeah.
Or a high level of camaraderie. You're performing, you're playing these games. And I was thinking about that recently in, like, even my experience coming up through the military, and you get all this brother and sisterly love and high level of camaraderie, and you go to combat together, and you just have these bonds. But then you transition and you leave that, right?
Yeah.
Have you found anything that even resembles that type of camaraderie since you've transitioned?
No.
Because I was gonna ask, if so, where'd you find it?
Yeah. So, I always go back to college, but real quick for you, a question for you, Bo. How old were you when you went into the military?
I was 17.
Oh,
when I started.
Perfect example. All right. So, and I'm going to revert back to college, because in the pros, yes, you have your guys that, I mean, I'm still close to one of the players, and he was my roommate coming in. When we got drafted, he was a 2nd round pick. I was a 3rd round pick, and we were roommates when we first came in. We're still close to this day. But it was college. It was really college, because I was 17-year-old when I left the house too. I was 17 years old, and went off to a different state, never been that far away from home. And, I grew up, I had to learn to grow up on my own, and who was next to me? My teammates. And I still have, like I said, once a year, 12 of us get together once a year still. I mean, my last year in college was 2003. So we're, almost 20 years out, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And so geez, man, when I think about that, it's like, oh my gosh, that's a long time ago. But no, it's that we grew up as men. We grew up to be men together, and we grew up on the battlefields together, like not literally like you did, but there were our trenches, our battlefield. And when you're sweating, it's blood, sweat, and tears, and you're going into battle with this person that's next to you. They're going to be that's a bond that nobody can take away from. And I'm sure you can relate to that. Like nobody can take that away. And, and I still hold on to that, because that's something that's very dear to me. I grew up to be a man, and I grew up to be a man with these other men that are still by my side,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
Luke, any parting questions, final questions, thoughts, comments?
Jorge, I'm just so glad to meet you, man. This has been a great
Yes.
conversation. I
Yes.
hope that sometime post-pandemic our paths cross sometime, because I
Most
feel like we
definitely.
could talk for hours, you know.
Yeah, most definitely.
And we got to
Hey,
connect, all three of us, on this real estate stuff as well.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, most definitely. You know,
Yeah.
I got something brewing. I can't really share that with you right now.
That's
But
okay.
it is brewing, and it is pretty soon. Hopefully I can come back on the show and talk to you guys a little bit about it. But you know, it's something in real estate. It's just me and my coach are still getting it together, and obviously you got to be prepared, right? You know,
Yes.
it's
Yep.
always with a 3 P's. You know, well, I'm sorry, 5 P's. Proper preparation prevents piss poor performance.
That's
Or
right.
6.
Yes.
That's
There
right.
you go.
6.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
those are
yeah.
words I go by.
Yeah, no, those
That's
are
awesome.
good. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
those ones for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Jorge, man. We really appreciate this. It's been fantastic.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. You know, thank you very much for making me feel comfortable, and it was an honor to be on your guys' show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure's ours, man.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Bo and Luke Nation, that is a wrap.
We're out.
Tune in for a new episode every Thursday. You can subscribe to our email newsletter for information on upcoming guests, giveaways, and more. Rate, review, and subscribe. Thank you to our sponsor, Sound United, for quality broadcast audio throughout Season 2.